Welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to make a low polygon tree in Cinema 4D. So this is a very quick tutorial, and I'm assuming that you have a little bit of knowledge on how to move around and change your settings within Cinema 4D. It's not overly complex, but you may get lost if you don't know the quick keys. I'll try and explain as I move along. So let's start up our Cinema 4D. And I'm just adjusting my viewport a little bit. I also like to work in the high resolution bit, so I go in Film and Video and select the HD TV 1080 2997. Any one of these will select the 1920 1080 really quick for you. So once you've done that, we're going to create the shape of a tree, and we're going to keep this low polygon, so we need to do one little tweak that will make it look the more angular shape that low polygon has. I will also go through how to quickly get a nice texture, nice color on these trees once we're done. So let's start by putting a cone down, and we are not really having a perfect and good tree shape on this. So let's zoom out a little bit and change the height over here in the object properties to about 450, so we get a little bit more height on the tree. And we will reduce the rotation segments down to say 14, so we get a nice and good even spread on this. So even if we render, we're still gonna have the nice round cone shape. But it isn't really that shape we're out for, and we're gonna make this low polygon. And the big secret to it is this font tag here. If you press on it and press delete or the delete button on the Mac keyboard, you will get this look. And that is instantly looking a lot more cooler, especially if you like to do low polygon. Alright, so we have the green part of the tree, so let's call this greens. Don't have to do that much to it just yet. Let's add the trunk by adding a cylinder up here. So just click this and press T on your keyboard to bring up the scale tool. So just click anywhere you like, and let's reduce this in size. If you click here on cylinder again, you will see the size, but the height is around 50. So let's move it down to around there. That looks good. And if you zoom down under the tree, you will see that the shape and the size is fairly okay. So once you have this, go into the rotation segments and let's move it to about half of what we did for the tree, so 7. And therefore we have the nice round shape. But if we press render, you're gonna see it's gonna be round, so let's remove the font tag again. Press render, and you will see you get these nice, straight, sharp angles. Alright, so we have our tree, we have our tree trunk, so let's drag this below and rename this to a trunk. Alright, this is looking quite good, quite quickly even. Right, there is one thing here, and to make a little bit more complexity into a tree, because if we start building trees like this and just render tons of them, they're going to be very uniform and looking exactly the same. So let's add a little bit more detail to this. Press C to make this part editable. Now you can start manipulating the lines and everything. A few things to think of here. There are two different ways you can do this. So if you go over on this side and use the edge mode, as you can see here, I can select these lines, these edges. If I would select this, I can select all these small points all over the tree. And if I do this, I select the faces that are in between the actual surface. But it's this tool that we're after. You can either hold your mouse out here and press U to bring up this quick keyboard or quick shortcut, and then press L, and you can select a loop tool. And this is pretty much what we want this time. So if you press this, select one of these, then go back to this, the move tool. You can press E on keyboard, and now you have this bit selected. We want to do a little bit with this, a little bit of a trick. So once you have the selection here, hold in Command or Control depending on your operating system, and then move this bit down a little bit, about halfway, and let go with the mouse, and then let go with the Command or Control. Now you copied that section, you pretty much extended it down, and it's still inside the tree, so we're going to have to do a little bit of the scale here. So we're going to scale it up. So press T on your keyboard to bring up these square dots, the scale tool. You can also do the selections up here if you know what the tools mean quickly. And hold your mouse out here and then drag. And you'll see that you're getting a little bit of a thing coming out here. So let's drag this out to about 140. Let's keep a nice good angle. So 139, 140. And as you can see, we suddenly have a little bit of a shape to the tree. Let's do this again. So line tool, make sure that one is selected. Press U on the keyboard and L, so you get the loop tool back. Select this one. Go back to the move tool, holding Command or Control, drag it down about halfway, change to the scale tool, and drag it out. This time, keep about the same numbers. You can do 149 or something, but I like to be a little bit less of an angle, like a tree. It's not as protruding at the top as it is far down at the bottom. So let's choose about that. Go back to the U and L on the keyboard, so we have the loop tool. Select this one up here. Press E to get to move tool. Holding Command or Control, drag down about halfway. Press T to change. Drag it out. And this time not too much, but just enough so that we see a little bit of difference. So if I'm pressing render now, you're gonna see that, wow, that is really looking like a tree. Now, there is one other way to select these things quite quickly. If you go in here under the live selection tool, you have rectangular selection. But if you do this way, you have to remember to remove the only select visible elements, because if I'm doing like this right now, I want to select the bottom one. I only selected the visible element, so I'm not selecting anything that is out of sight from my camera angle. So if I untick this one, and now I drag like this, oh, I need to untick it, of course. So I do that, and I select like this. Now all of it has been selected all around. Now, one thing extra for the bottom is that you choose all of these. These don't exist within the actual shape, but it will be a little bit of a cool effect when you move them down. So holding Command, move down a little bit, not entirely so you cover the tree trunk that we built. Then press the scale, and now let's drag out quite a bit here, so it's a nice protruding bit. Let's also take the tree trunk and move that one down a little bit. So go into the move tool, press E on the keyboard, and shift it down a little bit so that we actually have a tree trunk to show off. Alright, that is starting to look quite fantastic, is it not? So select both of them and go in. Let's make the trunk also editable, so just press C on your keyboard when you have the trunk selected. Press Alt G to put them into a group and call this tree. Move it up a little bit. Alright, this is looking quite well. We just need a little bit of colors. So double click down here in the material window, and then double click on the material to get up, untick specular, and up here we can name it to something. So I want it called green, because we're gonna do the green color here. Under color selected, go into texture and then choose a gradient. This will bring up the best texture for a cartoony atmosphere that low polygon is absolutely fantastic to use in. So click into this and let's choose a, let's say 122, and let's choose a darker but a little bit more vibrant green color. And on this side we're going to choose a more washed out but same range of greens, about 120, 122, and then choose on the more washed out area up here a little bit something that is lighter, so you get this sort of shape. Also change the 2D U to 2D V. Once you've done that, close this, drag and drop on top of that. Just to keep it quick and simple, holding Control or Command and then drag the green to the side so you get an icon. Rename this to Trunk, and we're gonna quickly turn this into the more brownish color that bark and tree trunks do get. So let's drag this down to about 35, I would say. We get a nice, decent reddish brown color. And do the same for this. Just drag this color down to about 35. And we get a very light, sandy color. So the fading would look like something like this. Alright, there you go. You have the trunk color. And Really nice and easy. The tree is looking fantastic. You even get the shapes as I showed you. A little bit of disturbance to the texture there. Alright, so let's make something really quick of this, because there is no forest without trees. So once you have the tree selected here, let's go into MoGraph and hit Cloner. You can hold in Alt and it will automatically drop it within. Select the cloner and go down to Grid Array. The middle one is the Y-axis, so let's reduce that one to 1, meaning that we have nothing building on the height. So let's up the size this way, about 2000, and the Z, let's have a little bit of depth on this, 3000, and then just fill up with a few trees in between so we have a nice little forest. Alright, that looks quite okay so far, but it's quite uniform. It looks like a manufactured forest, and we don't really want that look. So I have the cloner selected and head into MoGraph again, but hit Effector and hit Random. And you can already see there has been a little bit of adjustment, and it's these three that affects this bit. So the middle one, the Y, that we selected down to 1 when we did the cloner, is the one controlling the height. So this can be something that can be quite good if you're building something close to terrain. But let's keep this to about 50 because of the size of the trees, so we have a little bit of height difference. And then whether or not you want to do it manually, you can adjust these so you see that the tree starts moving a little bit. So let's keep them quite close to each other, less than 500. And there you go. You have a nice, quick, evenly spread forest that isn't looking too manufactured. It actually looks like it's grown for real. So there you have it. Let me know what you think of a tutorial like this. Hit like, subscribe, comment, and give feedback. And please do tell me if there's something you'd like to see in the low polygon editing in the future. My name is Jim Sandborg. You can visit me on my website viperbane.com. Thank you so much for listening.